It was supposed to be just another quiet morning. Lauren Heike laced up her shoes, stepped onto a familiar trail, and vanished into the warm Phoenix sun. Hours later, silence. By the next day, horror. Hidden from view, just steps from safety. Her lifeless body told a story of violence, terror, and a predator who had been waiting. This was no accident. It was cold, calculated, and no one saw it coming. Welcome. This is Crime Uncovered, where every case has a story, and the truth is often stranger and darker than fiction. If you haven't subscribed yet, kindly do so to stay updated on the latest crimes we uncover. April 28, 2023. A Friday morning as serene as any before. The Arizona sun poured softly across the rugged trails of Reach 11, casting golden hues against the dusty earth and prickly desert brush. Hikers passed by with water bottles in hand. Dog walkers chatted casually as the world seemed perfectly at ease. Among them was 29-year-old Lauren Heike. Full of life, full of plans. Lauren had always loved these moments. The quiet, the warmth, the chance to step away from the noise of the world and find peace in nature. It was her ritual. A quick morning hike to start the day, a fresh cup of coffee in hand earlier that morning, and a quick chat with her close friend, River Hubble, to exchange simple words of gratitude. Lauren was exactly where she wanted to be, free and content in the place she now called home. But as she laced up her shoes and stepped onto the familiar trail near her new apartment, no one, not even Lauren herself, could have predicted how suddenly this ordinary day would twist into horror. By late afternoon, the silence became suffocating. Her phone went unanswered. She never showed up to work, something friends and coworkers knew was wildly out of character for her. The hours ticked by and people became more concerned. By the next morning, that fear would be realized in the most gut-wrenching way imaginable. Hidden just off the dusty trail, tangled in the desert brush and out of view from the casual passerby, lay Lauren Heike, no longer smiling, no longer breathing. A brutal and unthinkable crime had shattered the quiet calm of Reach 11, turning a peaceful path into a haunting crime scene. In that instant, Phoenix was no longer safe. A predator had taken one of its brightest souls and vanished into the shadows. Who could do this? Why Lauren? And perhaps most chilling of all, where is the person? Lauren Heike wasn't just another young woman carving out her path. To the people who loved her, she was warmth and light in human form. Born in the lush, serene surroundings of Kitsap County, Washington, Lauren grew up surrounded by forests, cool air, and tight-knit family values. She was known for her gentle spirit and infectious joy. As a child, she radiated kindness, the type of person who could make strangers feel like lifelong friends within minutes of meeting her. Her parents and friends often described her in one simple, heartfelt phrase: a burst of light. She wasn't just friendly, she was magnetic. People gravitated toward her because she made them feel safe, seen, and cared for. As she entered adulthood, Lauren's compassionate nature led her to pursue a career as an esthetician. She loved helping others look and feel their best. Every day, she connected with her clients, bringing confidence and comfort into their lives. One facial, one smile, one kind word at a time. But Lauren's ambitions didn't stop at the beauty studio. With dreams of starting fresh and creating a new chapter in her life, she made the brave decision to move across the country to Phoenix, Arizona. The dry desert heat was a far cry from Washington's cool rain, but Lauren embraced it with optimism. For her, it wasn't just about chasing sunshine, it was about chasing possibility. She quickly made the desert city her home. Lauren found a small, peaceful apartment near the Reach 11 trail, a stretch of winding paths and scenic views that became her sanctuary. Every morning, she followed a routine that spoke to her peaceful soul: a fresh cup of coffee, a gratitude call with her best friend, River Hubble, where they shared things they were thankful for, big or small. And then, a quiet hike or walk through the desert trails to clear her mind and soak in nature. She cherished simple pleasures. She found beauty in ordinary moments. And though she had only recently arrived in Phoenix, she carried herself like someone who had already built a life full of love and hope. To those around her, Lauren seemed unstoppable. She had plans. She had dreams. She was building something. A future filled with joy, connections, and purpose. But in life's cruelest twist, dreams can be fragile. And for Lauren Heike, that bright, hopeful journey was about to be snatched away in the most horrifying way imaginable, leaving behind only memories and the haunting question, why her? April 28, 2023, started off normal and quiet, the kind of day that Lauren Heike lived for. That morning, as sunlight poured gently over North Phoenix, Lauren did what she always did. She called her best friend River Hubble, something they did almost every morning without fail. Together, they shared gratitude for life's simplest pleasures. Lauren was grateful for another sunny day, her morning coffee, and the chance to enjoy her favorite walking trail. Soon after, she slipped on her workout clothes, laced up her shoes, and left her new apartment. She was headed for the Reach 11 trail, a path she knew well, just steps from her front door. Lauren loved that trail. It wasn't remote wilderness. It was close to civilization, nestled between residential neighborhoods and popular streets. For her, it was a place of peace and routine. She could enjoy the desert's beauty without feeling unsafe. But that afternoon, everything went eerily silent. Lauren didn't show up for work, something deeply out of character. Her phone, normally buzzing with texts and calls, went quiet. Messages sent by family and friends remained unread. By the next morning, the situation had escalated from worry to panic. Her parents, Jeff and Lana Heike, were frantic. This wasn't their daughter. Lauren was responsible, connected, and careful. She would never just up and leave. Something must have gone wrong. With growing dread, they reported her missing. Soon, flyers and social media posts began circulating. The North Phoenix community, still reeling in disbelief, rallied together. Volunteers and police combed the area. Hope, though faint, still lingered in the air. But that hope shattered on April 29th. It was around mid-morning when a local woman, a fellow hiker and dog owner, took her usual route along the Reach 11 trail. Like Lauren, she knew the path well and walked it often. But that morning, she never knew she would be greeted with an awful sight. As she and her dog reached a less traveled area, her pet suddenly tugged on its leash, pulling toward a dense patch of desert brush near a barbed wire fence. Curious and uneasy, the woman followed. That's when she saw it. A shape, unmoving, partially concealed in the scrub and sand. Her heart began pounding. She stepped closer and realized what she was looking at. A woman's body, lying face down in the dirt. It was a sight so horrifying that it nearly stopped her breath. Lauren Heike. The woman immediately grabbed her phone. Gripped with fear, she dialed 911. She described what she saw. Lauren in torn workout clothes, missing a shoe, and blood pooled beneath her sports bra. She realized Lauren wasn't breathing. First responders arrived immediately and confirmed the unthinkable. Lauren had been viciously attacked. Her body, hidden from view along the edge of the trail, told a chilling story of violence. Signs of a struggle were evident, from her torn clothes to the way she had been left abandoned, as if whoever did this thought she might never be found. In an instant, the quiet North Phoenix trail transformed from a community retreat into the epicenter of a horrific crime. Lauren's peaceful walk had ended in terror, and now, a frantic hunt for answers has begun. Within moments of the 911 call, the peaceful desert trail transformed into something far darker. As soon as the police arrived, weaving through the narrow dirt paths and scrub brush as the early morning sun beat down. At first, they clung to hope. Maybe this had been some sort of tragic accident. After all, Lauren Heike was young, fit, and alone in the desert. Could it have been a heat stroke? A sudden fall? But as soon as they reached her, that hope disappeared. Lauren's body told a different story. Her clothes were torn. Her body bore clear signs of a violent struggle. There was blood, not from a scrape or a twisted ankle, but from brutal injuries that made it horrifyingly clear this was no accident. This was murder. And it wasn't just where she was found that made it even more chilling. It was how close. Though concealed in brush near a barbed wire fence, Lauren's body lay just feet away from where hikers, joggers, and neighbors regularly passed by. Families often brought their children here to explore the desert paths. Dog walkers came daily. Suddenly, what once felt like a safe retreat now felt sinister. News spread fast. Before the afternoon heat settled in, local headlines blasted urgent warnings. Young woman murdered on Reach 11 trail. Suspect at large. The community was warned to be on alert and make sure to walk in two and not alone on that path. The North Phoenix neighborhood, a quiet, suburban area bordering Scottsdale, fell into collective fear. Parents pulled their kids indoors. Morning joggers and evening walkers vanished from the paths. Groups that usually gathered for weekend hikes canceled plans. The desert trail that had once offered peace and beauty now echoed with suspicion and paranoia. But fear wasn't the only thing hanging over the community. Rumors began swirling almost immediately. Within days, Phoenix police began receiving disturbing 911 calls from residents. Multiple witnesses reported seeing a strange man lingering near the trail, both before and after Lauren's murder. This man didn't seem like other hikers. He was wearing a black cloth not meant for sports though and carrying a backpack. He has been roaming the area suspiciously. Some described him pacing nervously alongside trails. Others recalled him staring silently at passing walkers, his demeanor off and unsettling. The reports painted a troubling picture, one that pointed to a predator hiding in plain sight. Investigators began connecting the dots. Whoever killed Lauren had likely stalked her, waited for the perfect moment, and struck when she was most vulnerable. The neighborhood, once defined by comfort and routine, was now on edge. Locking doors wasn't enough. People glanced over their shoulders. Small talk on the trails was replaced with tense, fearful silence. The hunt for Lauren's killer had officially begun, but no one in Phoenix could have imagined just how dark and twisted the search would become. While forensic teams carefully scoured every inch of the brutal crime scene, searching for anything that could bring them closer to Lauren's killer, it was one small item left behind that would ultimately break the case wide open. Near a barbed wire fence, partially hidden in the dust and desert brush, Lauren's missing shoe was found. At first, it was just another heartbreaking piece of the puzzle, but when investigators sent it for forensic testing, it revealed something far more crucial: DNA. And this time, it did not belong to Lauren. While labs processed the sample, police had already been pursuing another critical lead. Surveillance cameras positioned near the trail captured a shadowy figure sprinting through the desert landscape. The video was blurry, but clear enough to make out the essentials. A man dressed in dark clothes, carrying a backpack, running at full speed. This was not a jogger or hiker. He was moving fast, almost frantic, and clearly fleeing. Phoenix police quickly released the footage to the public, hoping someone would recognize the figure. It worked. Calls flooded in. Witnesses described seeing a man near the Reach 11 trail before and after Lauren's murder. But these weren't just passing sightings. Witness after witness said the same thing: this man wasn't like the other hikers. He wasn't there to enjoy the sunshine or take a peaceful walk. He lingered. He loitered. He watched. Even worse, several people claimed he carried a small, sharp knife. One tipster even remembered the man making them uncomfortable in the days before the murder, pacing nervously, watching passers-by, and seemingly waiting for something or someone. Then came the breakthrough investigators had been hoping for. A probation officer who had seen the surveillance video along with the rest of the public immediately recognized the man on screen. She knew that face. The behavior was familiar. It was Zion William Teasley, a 22-year-old local with a dark and troubling history. Teasley wasn't an unknown drifter or a misunderstood loner. His violent past was well documented. In 2018, at just 17 years old, Teasley was convicted of armed robbery and disorderly conduct. Alongside two friends, he staged a terrifying holdup at a local Jack in the Box, pointing a gun at employees and demanding cash. Though he ultimately accepted a plea deal and received probation, the violent nature of the crime was a warning sign many overlooked. In the years that followed, Teasley struggled to hold steady jobs. He bounced between short-term gigs, primarily in retail and fast food. Former managers described him as unstable, with a temper that flared easily. Several co-workers, particularly women, later reported that they had felt deeply uncomfortable working alongside him. At least one manager fired him after he allegedly became aggressive and physically struck a female colleague during a workplace outburst. In 2019, Teasley attempted to join the U.S. Marine Corps. However, his tenure was short-lived. He was discharged before completing basic training. The official reason for his dismissal was never fully released, but records confirmed that he left the service early, without successfully becoming a Marine. Despite these red flags, Teasley remained free, until now. With DNA linking him to Lauren's final moments, eyewitness reports placing him at the scene, and video footage of him fleeing the desert, police wasted no time. By May 4, 2023, just 6 days after Lauren Heike's body was discovered in the desert brush, Phoenix police moved in. Late that evening, they arrived at Teasley's nearby apartment and made the arrest without incident. He knew the net had closed around him. For investigators, there was no doubt anymore. The man with a violent past, a reputation for aggression, and a pattern of troubling behavior was now in custody and charged with the horrifying murder that had left an entire community devastated and afraid. But even as Teasley sat behind bars, a deeper question remained. Why Lauren? And what twisted turn of fate placed her in the path of a man capable of such cruelty? As Zion Teasley sat in custody, refusing to talk, detectives dug deeper, and what they uncovered confirmed their worst fears. Inside his apartment, police found damning evidence. First, a small knife, eerily similar to the type of weapon used in Lauren's brutal murder. Then came the dark clothing and backpack, identical to what the man seen fleeing the crime scene on surveillance footage wore. But most disturbing was what hinted at his next move. Hidden among his belongings was a plane ticket to Detroit, showing he had been preparing to leave town, possibly forever. Still, Teasley denied everything. He insisted he wasn't near the trail that day, but investigators knew better. His DNA had already told a different story, found on Lauren's shoe near the barbed wire fence where she likely tried to escape. Surveillance cameras showed him running from the area, while witnesses described a man matching his description lingering on the trail before and after the attack. Even more troubling, jailhouse recordings caught Teasley instructing family members to get his passport ready. Another clear sign he intended to flee. By May 2023, police made it official. Lauren Heike's murder had been a random, unprovoked attack. Teasley and Lauren were strangers. She had simply been out for her usual peaceful hike when she crossed paths with a man whose violent past had long been simmering beneath the surface. Phoenix was left in shock. A joyful, kind young woman taken by senseless violence. A chilling reminder that sometimes evil appears without reason or warning. With overwhelming evidence against him, Zion Teasley was swiftly charged. At first, the charges included first-degree murder, robbery, and tampering with evidence, devastating accusations tied directly to Lauren's final moments. But as investigators dug deeper, a much darker picture began to emerge. By late 2024, and as the case moved into 2025, prosecutors filed even more disturbing charges against Teasley. These were linked to his violent history, including past assaults and misconduct with minors. What had initially seemed like a senseless random attack now felt part of something even more sinister, a pattern of cruelty and disregard for human life. The man who sat quietly in the courtroom was no longer seen as merely troubled or impulsive. In the eyes of prosecutors, he was predatory, and Lauren Heike, a young woman full of kindness and ambition, had crossed his path at the worst possible moment. The legal wheels continued to turn slowly, as they often do in cases this severe. Teasley's trial was officially scheduled for October 2025, a date that already loomed heavy in the minds of Lauren's family and the Phoenix community. But even that wasn't the end of the road. Prosecutors announced something even more serious. They intended to seek the death penalty, signaling that they believed Lauren's murder was among the most heinous and unforgivable crimes imaginable. For Lauren's parents, Jeff and Lana Heike, and everyone who loved her, justice felt painfully slow. Each court hearing, each legal motion, forced them to relive the worst days of their lives. Still, they remained resolute. In public statements and press appearances, They vowed to face Teasley in court, to speak on Lauren's behalf, to make sure her voice, silenced in the desert that terrible day, would be heard in the courtroom. The journey to justice would be long and brutal, but they promised to walk every step of it. Lauren Heike loved simple joys. She was a daughter, a friend, and a kind soul who should have had decades ahead of her. Instead, her life ended in terror, her dreams stolen in a senseless act of violence. While her killer waits for trial, Lauren's family holds onto her memory, vowing to fight until justice is served. This case is a brutal reminder that sometimes evil hides in plain sight, and that even the safest trails can turn deadly in an instant. Stay safe, stay aware, and always be cautious of the strangers we pass by. Every victim deserves their story told. If you found this story shocking and heartbreaking, subscribe to Crime Uncovered and help keep their memory alive. What do you think about Lauren Heike's murder? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, keep questioning everything.